The Sacro Catino. Did Napoleon break the Holy Grail? The search for the Holy Grail echoes down the centuries. Great leaders and great empires have searched for the cup, which is said to have magical powers to heal the sick and grant eternal life. The Grail, variously the cup which Jesus drank from at the Last Supper before his crucifixion, or the cup which caught his blood as he was stabbed on the cross, is possibly the greatest artifact of Christianity, and many contenders have been put forward over the years claiming to be the true Grail. One such is the Sacro Catino, currently preserved in the Treasury Museum of the Cathedral of San Lorenzo in Genoa in Italy. The origins of this beautiful dish are obscure, said to have been recovered during the Crusades and apparently made from a single huge emerald. The dish seems to glow with its own inner light. This vessel reached Genoa in the initial years of the 12th century and is said to have been taken during the sack of Caesarea, which occurred 1101 following the First Crusade. Such a beautiful and valuable dish, made of one piece of emerald, can you imagine, could only have come from the table of Jesus himself, right? But the Sacro Catino is a history even after this divine association. Here is the story of Napoleon's involvement with this Grail and what happened to it long after its discovery, which made it seem perhaps not so special after all. What is the Holy Grail? Holy Grail, also known as the Holy Chalice, is in the Christian tradition most commonly said to be the cup that Jesus used for serving wine in the Last Supper. Two artifacts in Western Christianity rose to prominence as the Holy Chalice during the latter medieval period. The first one is named Santo Calice, a dark red agate cup that is preserved in the Cathedral of Valencia, and the cup dates to around the 1st century AD, and pilgrims travel to see it to this day. The second artifact that claimed to be the Holy Grail is the Sacro Catino Genoa Cathedral, and it's a flat green dish larger and wider than Santo Calice. The provenance of the dish is also less secure, and only at the end of the 13th century does it appear to have been suggested as the true Grail. The Genoa Chalice. The Sacro Catino is a hexagonal dish that seems to have been made in the Roman era. The dimensions of the dish are around 3.5 inches by 13 inches. Looted from Caesarea in modern Israel, it's traveled to Genoa as a spoil of war. The Genoese exhibited the bowl as a treasure and insisted on its miraculous properties. Legends started to attach themselves to the bowl, and the first claim to Sacro Catino for being the Holy Grail was made in the 1290s by Jacobus de Vorgine in his Chronicon. This soon became the established story of the vessel. A visitor to Genoa in 1436 named Pedro Tafur reported that the Holy Grail was to be found there, made out of a single emerald and preserved in the Genoa Cathedral. The bowl was considered sacred and remained undisturbed through the turbulent centuries of the Italian city-states and the Renaissance. But in 1805, a new kind of leader arrived on the scene, one with a limited appreciation for holiness and a great desire for his own aggrandizement, and that is, of course, Napoleon Bonaparte. During his conquest of Italy, this bowl was seized by Napoleon and was taken to Paris. Somehow, on the journey to Paris, Napoleon's men managed to drop the bowl and it broke into pieces. Among other things, this seriously damaged the credibility of the claims that the bowl was the true Grail. For one, it was found to be made not of a single emerald, but of glass, and it was returned to Genoa in 1816, but by then the damage had literally been done. It was not emerald, it was glass. Emerald, as we know, is a stone, a precious gem. And the Sacro Catino in France, while the Sacro Catino was in France, several studies were carried out upon it by the Academy of Science in the Institute of France. These studies confirmed that this bowl was made of Byzantine glass and not any emerald. With later studies, the accurate age of the object started to become clear. The verdict was that this bowl was of Islamic manufacture that dates to the 9th or 10th century. So it's believed that the Sacro Catino is not the real Holy Grail, but it's just a copy of what could be the real bowl that Jesus used during the Last Supper. Broken and subject to several restorations while in French hands, the bowl required further improvements and repairs. One returned to Genoa. It remains on display to this day, one of the two medieval era candidates of the Holy Grail. Other modern candidates? Many historians are skeptical as to any candidates publicly presented as the Holy Grail, and moreover there is no evidence to prove that any Holy Grail even exists. But today there are many modern candidates for the Grail put forward by the hopeful. One such is the chalice of Donna Urraca, a highly bejeweled cup kept within the Basilica of San Isidoro of Leon, Spain. This artifact was linked to the Holy Grail in the book Los Reyes del Grail of 2014. Another is the Antioch chalice, a silver gilt object originally identified as from the early Christian period. It's preserved in the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York, who subsequently concluded that it is not the real Grail. None is perhaps so unusual, though, as the Nantius cup, a wooden bowl in Rhyd Felin near Aberystwyth in Wales. The bowl is said to have miraculously healing powers, and a wooden bowl would be much more suitable as the cup of a carpenter than the fabulously decorated candidates elsewhere. Overall, there are hundreds of candidates for an artificial artifact which may not even exist, and which may never have existed. The Sacro Catino may just be glass, and it may be broken. It may have been made 1,000 years after Jesus died, and it may not even be a replica of something that really existed during Jesus' life. But it still draws the faithful, and for the faithful, belief is everything. And this is by Bipin Dimri on Historic Mysteries. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Please support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.